we're back. World Cup qualifying's back. You could see the intensity of the game. You could see the passion in the stands, and a great learning experience for our group. From my vantage point, there's a lot of things to improve on. I thought the fight was good. The intention to win the game was good, but we got to get better. We got to be more connected as a team, and be able to finish our chances in a better way. But overall, proud of the group, proud of the way they handled the game, and it's on to the next one now. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Our first question will come from Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Greg, in the picture, are you happy with this result? Are you disappointed with the result? Is it somewhere in between?
I would say somewhere in between. It's getting back into it, and a lot of guys first time playing in that type of atmosphere, and it is a learning experience. I thought we started the game really well. We started the second half really well, but we got to finish some of those chances. But overall, I think we lacked that connection that's really going to get us over the top. I think it was too much individual play. Not enough switching field, not enough making them shift from side to side. And in the end, we fell short. But, so I'd say looking at everything, we'll take it, we'll move on, and now it's about the game against Canada.
Next, we'll go to Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Brian.
Just following up on that a bit, curious what you thought of, especially the first few minutes, the anthem, the fireworks, the noise, the jumping. How do you think the guys sort of responded to that initial surge, that rush? You probably expected it. You probably knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But how do you think they handled it? How do you think they handled the first taste of being away out?
I think the first couple minutes were actually good. I mean, we silenced the crowd a little bit. We got them. I mean, we didn't silence the fireworks, but we silenced the crowd a little bit by getting in their penalty box. Getting a lot of little half chances, and I actually thought we started the game well. Looking at this as a learning experience, I think the guys handled it well. But there needs to be a calm that sets in after that initial period where we start taking over, and we never really had that. We never really had the calm. It was bits and pieces in the second half, but overall, not enough.
Next will be Grant Wall.
Greg, two guys you decided to start with Tim Reed and DeAndre Yedlin. You guys are more experienced maybe than a lot of the other guys. What went into those decisions?
It was a game where we thought build up from midfield was going to be important. We thought Tim can handle that really well. He's having an excellent start to his season at Fulham, and knowing what we have in the entire week, we wanted to get him on and let him play this game. And then DeAndre, it was a question of getting a guy who's been there before on the field. We thought the pace at right back, the ability to put the ball in the penalty box would be fine. We're also looking at a 3-game split with our fullbacks. So, Serginho started on the left this game, and we go forward from here.
Next will be Daniel Nora from Univision.
Greg, considering the fact that none of the fullbacks finished the game, it's a concern thinking of the second game?
No, I think it's a benefit actually, because they'll have a little bit more freshness in them, if they play next game. So, that was a decision we made. We wanted to get a left footer in there to get deeper in the end line, get some crosses in, especially when Jordan was in the game, and we thought that was going to be important. So we took Serginho out. But overall, the less game time in this situation, I think the better for the next couple games.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hey, Greg, you talked about the players with the learning experience. For you, how was this a learning experience? And what did you learn from the game?
That's a good question. I have to look back on the tape of the game, and I think the preparation was good. I think all that was in line. But we wanted to get the win, and I think maybe that the message of playing behind early in the game, playing in their half early in the game, wasn't followed up by the message of, okay, once we do that, now we also need to move the ball around and be more calm. I think, it turned into too hectic of a game, and I think we didn't manage that well enough. We did create a number of turnovers in good positions that started some transitions that we're really happy with, but overall, wasn't happy with the control of the game.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Greg.
Hey, Jeff.
Serginho Dest, how would you assess his performance? And do you think, to what extent do you think continuing to play him on the left is the way to get the maximum out of it?
Yeah. So we'll review his performance and talk to him about his evaluation, but we know he's a quality player. We know from the left he can come inside, start to combine, start to switch field. We thought switching field was going to be important. If you have a right footer on the left side, he comes inside, he can easily switch field. So we thought that was going to be a benefit. And for him, it's just a learning experience as well. He's a young player. He plays played at Ajax, plays at Barcelona now. They don't get too many environments like that with those clubs. So for him, it's just about learning. We have a lot of confidence in Serginho. We think he's a top player, and it's just the learning curve to now perform in World Cup qualifiers.
Do you think you're getting enough out of the defense?
I think they created very few chances in the game. Maybe he had a couple slip-ups where the guy got by him, but overall, they didn't create much in the game. I'd have to look at the expected goals. Their expected goals was probably pretty low.
We'll take a question virtually from Henry Bushnell from Yahoo.
Thanks, guys. Hey, Greg. Kind of two-part question here. You talked about it being a learning experience earlier. I'm wondering, do you think you learned anything yourself? This being your first road qualifier as a coach. And secondly, more specifically, what was the reasoning for starting Brendan centrally and Gio wide as opposed to vice versa?
Gio's been playing there with his club. He's been playing central with his club. He played wide. He's played wide more often with us, and Brendan's mixed it up with us where he's played. I think it was just a comfort level of knowing, how we wanted to press, him pressing in the Red Bull system. We thought he'd be more comfortable pressing as a midfielder versus Gio. So, those are things that, we can evaluate moving forward. But we also know Gio's very good in and around the penalty box. He's a dynamic player, and he can make things happen from the wing. He had a couple really good plays that almost led to goals. So that was the reason there. In terms of the other question about learning, I answered it with Ron's question, but I'll add to it and just say that, you're always trying to make sure that the group is ready for the challenge ahead of them. And in this case, I think it was a really good learning experience for the collective group, just to see what these games are about. You can talk about them, but until you're actually in them, it's hard to understand. So we got that game under our belt. We got a point, and we move on.
We'll go to Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Greg, just curious what went into the decision not to start John Brooks. Is it a load management thing ahead of the next two games or something else? Thank you.
That was it.
We will go to Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks so much, Greg. You kind of touched on this a bit with answering about Serginho, but there was some talk from some of the players ahead of the game, certainly from the fan base, of an expectation of, hey, we need 9 points out of these first 3 games. I wonder how much you feel like kind of everyone got a refresher of how difficult it can be to go on the road in Concacaf and try to get a win, and that it's not necessarily about the individual resumes of each player or who's technically better at each position, but there are other factors going into that, and how many guys on this team maybe learned that or got an understanding of that for the first time tonight. Thank you.
I think we did learn that. I think collectively the group learned what World Cup qualifiers are, for sure. But the intentions, Paul, are still. I don't think we'd approach the match again and say we're going to El Salvador to get a point. I really don't. That's not the mindset of this group. So we wanted to. I think the intentions. You saw the intention of the whole game was to win the game. We weren't sitting back. We were trying to be aggressive, trying to create goal-scoring opportunities, playing most of the game in their half. And unfortunately, we didn't get the goal. But in terms of the group's mentality, it's going to be to win games. That's what this group is about, and now it's just about doing it in this format.
Next will be Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael. Greg, I admittedly have not heard every question verbatim that was asked in the room, but could we hear your analysis of Josh Sargent and Jordan Pifak and what you saw from both of them? And whether, given rotation and everything else, Pifak might get a start here one of these days. And also, you were asked a moment ago about Aronson and Reyna. Would you expect maybe in a given game going forward that they might switch positions a little, and potentially the same with Pulisic and Aronson on the left side if that becomes a combination?
Yeah, I mean, I think that could happen. I think it's all about the roles and responsibilities and the players, their tasks, and what they're expected to do when they're on the field. As long as that can be carried out, we're open to guys switching during the game. In terms of Josh, I think he had a good start to the game. A couple good runs behind the back line. Was in the penalty box, was occupying space in the penalty box, was almost got on an end of a couple crosses, had a couple good transition moments, I thought, in both halves of the game. Unfortunately, didn't get the goal. Jordan came on. You can see he's really dangerous in crossing, was good holding the ball up. I think it's that speed of play to continue to as it comes into him, to keep the ball moving to the other side of the field and then enter the penalty box. So both of them, we would have liked to see them scoring goals, and we have to look at the chances that they had and evaluate those. But I thought it was an okay performance in both of them.
We'll have two more questions for Greg. First will be Sam Stejskal.
Greg, you talked a lot about performance and how it was perfect, but how this is a learning experience and all of that. It seemed like this one was kind of gained the hard way. Do you think the team would have been capable of that a year or two ago, or do you think kind of the growth in terms of mentality, in terms of understanding, facilitated that? And then just a second question. We saw Costa move right back after he stepped out. Was there anything up with DeAndre?
We thought he was just running out of gas a little bit. Yeah, he looked a little tired. Looked like he was cramping up a little bit. And, we know Kellen can play there, so we decided to do that. In terms of the first question, I think all these games are going to be hard fought. Right? Anytime you go away from home, it's going to be a difficult game. Any intentions of us, coming here and winning 3-0, it's going to be really challenging. You look at the other scores around Concacaf, and all ties. Mexico won in the 90th minute, at home. So they're dogfights. And as much as I'd want to win this game, and we did want to win this game, and I think that the attitude and the play was trying to win the game for the whole 90 minutes. We'll take the point and we move on. And we know, there's next game, home game against Canada, followed by Honduras, and we want to pick up points in those games.
Last question comes from Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Hey, Greg, just to end here, I kind of want to ask just about Miles. He's a guy that you said you wanted to see take a next step, and it seemed like he kind of did today. Obviously, as a guy in Tim Ream next to him who has gone through this to help him through it. But what did you kind of make out how he performed in his first real hostile environment like this?
I thought he did well. Defensively, I thought he was outstanding. Just won a ton of duels, dealt with space behind the back line well. I think he did a good job. It was really nice to see him get that experience. I think the whole group, it was a super young lineup, and for this whole group to get that experience was valuable. So, we'll evaluate the rest of his performance, but, my general impression is that he did a good job.